"Hey, housekeeper, take care of this as soon as you can." As soon as I walked through the door, Michael hurled his bag at me and barked out his demand. Lately, I lacked the energy to fight back, so I just picked up the bag from the floor. Scattered papers and a planner spilled out. His chocolate snack lay among them, presumably for when he got peckish. I gathered everything and put it back in the bag. But one document caught my eye. It was a divorce paper with Michael's section already filled out. In that moment, something inside me shattered. I can divorce this man. The realization hit me like a breath of fresh air. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. Without hesitation, I took a pen from the drawer and began filling out my part of the divorce form. My name is Linda Smith, and I'm 35 years old. I work as an administrative assistant at an IT company. Luckily, I have great coworkers and a pleasant work environment, which makes my life relatively stress-free. After quitting my first job due to toxic office politics, my current company feels like a haven. If all goes well, I plan to stay here for the long haul. But lately, I've been grappling with another issue. Despite my efforts, I can't seem to find a boyfriend, let alone a husband. It's not like I haven't had chances to meet someone. There have been company parties and blind dates set up by friends. I've had plenty of opportunities to mingle with men. Most of my friends are married with children. So why not me? Is there something fundamentally wrong with me? Each time a friend announced their engagement, I would agonize over it until I gave myself a headache. But then, my chance came. It was at a company drinking party. As usual, I was sipping my drink when a man sat next to me. That man would become my husband, Michael. Linda, right? How do you know my name? Michael, who had suddenly spoken to me, worked in a different department, so we had never talked before. I knew his name and that he was older and had joined the company earlier than I did, but nothing more. Oh, sorry. I just started talking to you out of the blue, Michael explained, seeing my surprise. He introduced himself and explained why he had approached me. Apparently, he had noticed that I was often alone at company events and during breaks. I hadn't thought of myself as being that solitary, but I guess that's how it appeared to others. After that, Michael and I continued our conversation effortlessly, thanks in part to the alcohol. At the end of the party, we exchanged contact information, thinking, why not? From that day on, Michael and I started talking more at work. Although we couldn't chat much during work hours, we made up for it during breaks and after work. Sometimes, if we bumped into each other at the nearest station, we'd walk to the office together. As we continued this routine, we naturally grew closer and started dating. Our relationship eventually became known at work, surprising my peers and juniors who hadn't expected me to date Michael. Michael remained the same even after we started dating, always kind and cheerful. Being with him felt comfortable and I found myself increasingly attracted to him. He seemed happier too, which made me feel good. About 6 months into our relationship, Michael told me something significant. Hey, I actually have a kid. A kid? Michael had been married before but divorced due to personality differences. He had custody and was raising his middle school-aged child as a single father. I've been thinking I'd like to marry you someday, Linda. I had to tell you before it's too late. Sorry for springing this on you all of a sudden. I was definitely surprised, but also happy that Michael was thinking about marrying me and had shared his past and his child's existence, considering our future together. Thank you for telling me, I said to Michael. After that, I began spending more time with Michael's child, Noah. I was worried he might reject me being a middle schooler, but Noah accepted me readily. A year later, Michael and I got married. I felt an unprecedented exhilaration and joy at being united with the person I loved. I was truly glad I hadn't turned Michael away at that drinking party. However, my happiness was short-lived. After we got married, Michael's true nature gradually began to surface. After discussing it with Michael, I decided to quit my job. While it had been a fun workplace, I wasn't overly attached to it. I opted for a fresh start and became a stay-at-home wife. My days were now mostly filled with housework and shopping. Initially lacking hobbies, I eventually found one, painting. It started with pencil sketches out of curiosity, but I quickly immersed myself in watercolors. Before long, my room was adorned with watercolor paints, palettes, and brushes. It was around this time that Michael's behavior began to change, or perhaps his true colors started showing. The first sign of trouble was when he left laundry scattered about. Hey, could you please put the laundry in the basket? Sorry. Since we hadn't lived together before marriage, it wasn't surprising that some sloppiness emerged. I wasn't perfect either. In fact, I found it endearing that Michael, who had always seemed so proper, was showing me this side of himself. It made me feel like we were truly married. However, no matter how often I'd asked Michael to put the laundry in the basket, he never seemed to make an effort. Instead, he started saying, "I'm tired from work. You could do it, right?" Yet, as soon as I began doing it, Michael started taking advantage of me. "What about dinner?" As soon as Michael got home that day, he demanded his meal. "I told you already, dinner's going to be late today because Noah's coming home late," I replied. "I didn't hear that." "Are you sure you said it?" "I did say it." "No, I definitely didn't hear it." My words seemed to fall on deaf ears, and Michael grew moody. Dealing with his mood swings was becoming increasingly challenging. He would ignore me when I spoke, handle things roughly, and stomp around the house. His behavior was stressing me out, especially his tendency to get upset over minor issues. Initially, I tried to attribute it to fatigue, but as the days went by, it became unbearable, and I found myself speaking up more. "Hey, didn't I ask you to stop leaving your bag lying around? Things fall out sometimes, and it's dangerous. If you're going to complain, then you clean it up. I'm tired from working every day, unlike you, a stay-at-home wife who does nothing all day." "What? Why are you speaking to me like that? Besides, if I didn't manage the household, there'd be no food or home for you. I thought we agreed I would quit my job." "Yeah, but that doesn't mean I'm your maid." Our conversation went nowhere. Was I at fault here? Did I really deserve to be yelled at like this every time I argued with Michael? I began to doubt my own judgment. He had told me his divorce from his ex-wife was due to personality differences, but now I wondered if there was more to it. Perhaps the problem lay with Michael, and maybe his ex-wife had valid reasons for initiating the divorce. Should I consider divorce myself? The answer was no. I had only just gotten married, and having quit my job, the thought of being single and independent again was daunting. Besides, I worried about Noah. The idea of his father divorcing and remarrying must be stressful for him. For now, I was grateful that Michael didn't raise his voice in front of Noah. It was wrong to think he could behave however he liked in front of me, but at least he maintained a basic level of decency in front of his son. Despite everything, I should endure it. It was my fault for ending up with someone like Michael. That thought began to dominate my mind more and more. About 6 months into our marriage, Michael began arriving home extremely late. While occasional overtime at his company was expected, staying out until past midnight became a frequent occurrence. Whenever he texted me, "I'll be late tonight," might even be past midnight, I couldn't help but wonder what kept him so occupied late into the night. Could he be cheating? It was a thought that crossed my mind often right after we got married, but lacking proof or certainty, I hesitated to confront him. However, there was something that made me doubt he was cheating. Michael started bringing his colleagues home. Among them were Mitch Johnson and Emily Thompson. Mitch exuded charm and was a pleasant young man. Emily, despite our age difference, was delightful to converse with. Both worked in the same department as Michael, so they weren't merely acquaintances. Initially unsure how to interact with them, I soon found us becoming friendlier as they visited more often. "Linda, let me help you with the dishes." "Oh, you don't have to do that." "No, please, I insist since I'm visiting." "Well, in that case, thank you." Emily often pitched in with washing dishes, setting out drinks, and preparing snacks, while Mitch would keep Michael company or help him when he was a bit too tipsy. Their presence made entertaining much easier for me, and I appreciated their assistance. "Mr. Smith, you've had quite a bit to drink. Don't make your wife worry, okay?" "It's fine, she's okay with it." Emily and I would sometimes overhear such exchanges while in the kitchen. Even Michael's past behavior, I had doubted his concern for me, but Emily's remarks surprised me. "It's because of the strong bond between you two that he feels comfortable saying such things, right?" "Ha! Mr. Smith often talks about you, you know? He mentions how delicious last night's dinner was and how you always make him feel cared for and at home." I couldn't believe Michael was speaking so positively about me. "Michael talks about me like that?" I asked Emily. "Yes, he talks about home every day. It sounds so enjoyable. I wish I could have a wonderful family like Michael's." "Is that so?" My emotions were mixed. My own home life was far from enjoyable, and I didn't want anyone aspiring to have a family like mine. Yet I understood that Michael had an image to uphold at work. I chose not to reveal the truth and instead quietly listened to Emily's stories. It made sense that from the outside it might seem like a happy home. During dinners together, Michael and Noah would occasionally join our conversations, creating a pleasant atmosphere. Mitch and Emily were always kind to Noah. "Noah's in middle school, right?" "Yes, he's in middle school." "Wow, still so young. You're quite young yourself, aren't you?" I found these exchanges enjoyable. On the days Mitch and Emily visited, I felt a sense of relief. Initially, Michael had brought them over without telling me, which was difficult to accept at first. However, I was glad I hadn't turned them away. Despite their presence, Michael's demeanor remained consistent. Even in the company of his colleagues and under the influence of alcohol, he never seemed to be in a bad mood, which was a relief. But seriously, my wife, she's totally useless. Drunk, Michael began revealing his true nature. Mitch and Emily seemed to take his words lightly. Come on, Mr. Smith, what are you joking about? Your wife is a wonderful person, isn't she? Mitch said with a chuckle. Right, Emily? Yeah, really admirable. No, you shouldn't admire someone like her. You'll regret it in the future. Come on, Michael, you're drunk again. Mitch and Emily brushed off Michael's remarks, attributing them to his intoxicated state. They likely assumed he was joking because they had always heard positive things about me at work. I knew they meant no harm. Accustomed to Michael's disparaging comments, I could only quietly smile along with them. Years passed swiftly. Noah graduated from middle school and high school and eventually landed a job at a local company after graduating college in the city. He rented a house nearby instead of moving back in with us, despite my initial suggestion. I respected his desire for independence. Throughout this time, Michael's behavior remained consistent. He had risen to department head, managing more subordinates and showing signs of stress, yet his attitude towards me didn't worsen. I braced myself for his usual venting of stress onto me. Michael frequently hosted Mitch and Emily for drinks, and his late-night returns became more frequent, likely his way of coping with stress. Several more years passed, and one day I received a call from Noah. Mom, I'm getting married. Married? Congratulations. I couldn't believe Noah was taking this step. Time really flew by. It seemed like just yesterday he was in middle school. Michael was also happy to hear the news. Wedding preparations began in earnest, with me handling most of the arrangements due to Michael's busy schedule. Mitch and Emily, who had been supportive throughout, were invited to the wedding. They looked sharp and once again helped manage a tipsy Michael. It was embarrassing to have him in such a state at the event, but Mitch and Emily handled it tactfully, especially Emily, who stayed close to Michael throughout the evening. They shared a lot of physical contact, though it was likely just the effect of alcohol. I didn't mind and simply observed their interactions. The morning after the wedding, Michael and I returned home. Clearly drunk, he slept in the back seat throughout the drive. Upon entering the living room, he carelessly threw his bag at me. Ouch! What are you doing? I exclaimed, turning to face him. He chuckled, saying, Hey, housekeeper, take care of this, referring to the scattered documents and planner in his bag. Exhausted and not in the mood to argue, I gathered the papers and returned them to his bag. Among them, I found something unexpected, a filled-in divorce paper with Michael's details. What is this? The sight of the divorce papers hit me like a wave. Michael was already passed out from drinking, but the message was clear. Why was I still trying to make this marriage work? With Noah grown up and married, I didn't need to stay for the family's sake anymore. The realization shattered something inside me. Without hesitation, I took a pen, filled in my part of the divorce papers, and left the house with only what I needed. At the office, I submitted the papers, finalizing the end of my marriage with Michael. It was devastating to realize that he had prepared divorce papers, seemingly wanting to end our relationship despite everything I had invested over the years. Leaving the office, I checked into a motel, overwhelmed with exhaustion. I fell asleep immediately without even showering. The next morning, my phone rang, waking me up. It was Michael calling. Hello. Hey, Linda, where are you? I'm at a motel. Why are you at a motel? Come back home. Home? We're not a couple anymore. What? I submitted the divorce papers. You wanted a divorce, right? Well, now you have it. That divorce paper, it wasn't meant for that. Then what was it for? Michael fell silent, leaving me to assume he truly wanted the divorce. You're not saying anything. Fine, I'll come by later to pick up my things. I hung up, but the calls kept coming. Even when I was out searching for a new place to stay or job opportunities, my phone continued to ring. Just when I thought the calls had stopped, Noah called. I couldn't ignore my son, so I answered immediately. Noah, what's up? Mom, Dad told me you hadn't come home. Not come home. What, your father and I are divorced? Didn't you hear? What? Divorced? Noah seemed unable to accept the fact that I had filed for divorce. Why? How could you all of a sudden? Your dad. Well, let's meet and talk about it. Can you come to the house today? I suggested meeting to discuss the divorce with Noah and Michael in person. Noah agreed, and we arranged to meet after his work to go home together. Michael was visibly surprised to see me return without notice. Hey Linda, why did you just leave all of a sudden? I entered the living room and sat on the sofa. Naturally, both Noah and Michael were bewildered. Yeah, why the sudden decision on divorce? Well, because your dad filled out the divorce papers. What? Dad did. Noah looked at Michael in shock. Michael appeared uncomfortable and evasive. Ah, that was not really serious. I saw your signature on it. It seemed pretty serious to me, I pointed out, and Michael looked down. I had reasons to believe those divorce papers were necessary. You know about Emily Thompson, right? What? I had suspected Michael's affair with Emily from their closeness and excessive physical contact. Initially, I attributed it to drunkenness, but my suspicions grew. To confirm, I peeked at Michael's phone while he slept and found intimate exchanges and photos from a hotel stay with Emily. Hastily, I took pictures of this evidence with my phone. With clear photos of them together in a hotel, there was no denying the affair. Cheating. No, that's not. Don't bother denying it. I had evidence. Evidence. When did you? When you were passed out drunk. When I was passed out. Michael looked frustrated upon hearing this, but soon he started making excuses. But really, I didn't mean to file those divorce papers. Emily told me to write them. I really didn't want to. I never wanted to divorce you, Linda. Oh really? You wanted to keep me as a convenient housekeeper who does everything you say. A convenient woman who won't complain. That's not it. I really didn't want to divorce you. Michael insisted he never intended to end the marriage. Despite his words, the fact that he referred to me as a housekeeper stung. They say the truth comes out when you're drunk, and it did indeed. You know, even if you didn't intend to divorce, signing the papers shows your intention, right? What? Really? You're old enough to understand that, aren't you? Truly embarrassing behavior for an adult. I sighed. So that's that. Oh, and since you were cheating, I'll be seeking alimony from both you and Emily. Alimony? Of course. Don't even think about running away. I'll consult a lawyer and ensure you face the consequences. Michael seemed taken aback by the turn of events. Perhaps he never imagined it would come to this. If he hadn't thrown his bag at me after the wedding, maybe things wouldn't have ended like this. But then again, cheating and such disrespectful behavior are unacceptable. It's a stark reminder how one action can drastically change the course of life. Following Noah's suggestion, I decided to move in with him and his wife. I worried about being a burden, but he reassured me, saying, "No way. My wife really likes you, and I think she'd be happy to have you with us." Gratefully, I accepted his offer. I packed up my belongings from the house I knew I'd never return to. With Noah's help, I carefully gathered my clothes and my beloved watercolor painting tools into sturdy cases and headed to Noah's house. Even up to the last moment, Michael pleaded, "Please reconsider the divorce. I'm begging you." But after his betrayal, his pleas fell on deaf ears. I felt a genuine sense of relief knowing I was finally free from him. Later, I sought legal counsel and learned I could claim a substantial amount of alimony due to the duration of our marriage. Summoning Michael and Emily to the lawyer's office, I confronted them with the evidence of their affair. Cheating. Emily initially denied it, confused, but when faced with the undeniable proof, she finally admitted to the affair. It was disappointing to see someone I had thought highly of betray my trust like this. Michael, resigned to the situation, offered to pay the alimony. "I'm truly sorry. I'll take responsibility," he said, though I wish he had shown remorse earlier. Eventually, both agreed to the terms of the alimony settlement, and they apologized to me. Whether their regret was genuine or for show, I couldn't discern, but I hoped they would learn from this experience and consider the pain they had caused me. After the meeting, I returned home to Noah's warm welcome and his wife's comforting smile, which eased my weariness. I found a part-time job near their home, initially anxious about returning to work after so long, but the supportive colleagues quickly made me feel at ease. I've been enjoying bonding with Noah's wife over cooking lately. With the divorce settled and alimony secured, I thought I had closure. However, one day, an unexpected encounter stirred things up again. It was Mitch. While shopping at the supermarket, I spotted Mitch, likely on his way home from work. He noticed me and greeted me warmly. "Hey there, long time no see." "Mitch, it's been ages," I replied with a smile, and we caught up briefly. We discussed recent events, work updates, and our dinner plans. However, something seemed amiss about Mitch. He wasn't his usual cheerful self. There was a hint of desperation in his demeanor. Intrigued, I gently probed further. "You seem a bit off today, Mitch. Is everything all right?" "Oh, Mitch hesitated, confirming my suspicion. As I waited for his response, he hesitantly began to open up. "Actually, my girlfriend and I recently broke up." "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Wasn't your girlfriend Emily who used to visit us? What? Emily? I caught myself mid-sentence, but Mitch was already curious. Did something happen? He asked. I went on to explain about Emily's involvement with Michael and our subsequent divorce. Mitch was visibly taken aback. Wait, you got divorced? Yeah, it's been a while now. That explains why I haven't been invited over anymore. Mr. Smith still talks about his family at work though, Mitch remarked. He does? I was surprised Michael still discussed us. I instinctively covered my face with my hands. I had a feeling something was going on between Mr. Smith and Emily. They were always very close, Mitch admitted. You suspected too, Mitch? Yeah, I did. Mitch looked uncomfortable but then straightened up. I can't forgive Emily and Mr. Smith for this. I'm going to report it to my supervisor. I was shocked that Mitch had also noticed the affair between Emily and Michael. I had thought I was the only one aware. We parted ways that day with Mitch promising to update me on the outcome. A few weeks later, I received a text from Mitch. He had indeed reported Michael and Emily, and the consequences were significant. Both received pay cuts, and Michael was demoted to a regular employee role. After Mitch exposed Michael and Emily's affair, word spread throughout the company, and they faced considerable disdain from their colleagues. Despite the scandal, Michael remained with the company, perhaps realizing he couldn't easily secure another stable job elsewhere. I wondered how long he could maintain this situation. A year after my divorce and Mitch's revelation, Michael was still there. Both Michael and Emily continued to pay alimony, suggesting they were managing somehow. Mitch, on the other hand, was recognized for his dedication and hard work, resulting in a well-deserved promotion. It was ironic that Michael, who once mentored Mitch, now found himself working under him. I couldn't help but wonder how Michael felt about this reversal of roles, although I hesitated to ask him directly. Nowadays, I live with Noah and his family, working part-time at the supermarket. Starting with shelf stocking, I've since learned to prepare deli items and operate the cash register. Each day brings new challenges, which I appreciate. I've built a strong bond with Noah and his wife, and we often enjoy baking together. I'm grateful for my supportive workplace and loving family, and I continue to embrace life with gratitude and optimism.